everyone, I'm Jay and I do stuff. A couple of years ago, I posted my first dumping thoughts video on what we could see in a potential sequel to Spyro Reignited trilogy. So go watch that video first because I'm too lazy to recap. After the success of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, it's inevitable that we'll get a Spyro 4 sometime this year. In this video, I'd like to go over my ideas in more detail and even add some more I came up with since the last video. Keep in mind that most of these aren't exactly what I expect to happen in the actual Spyro 4. These are more my personal wants, as if Activision came up to me and put me in charge of directing the game. I would still keep the title of Malefor's Malice. Malice was a word often associated with Malefor in the Legend of Spyro games, meaning having the intention of doing bad. Also, the title itself would be a reference to Ripto's Rage, one of the more popular titles in the classic trilogy. I can't believe I forgot to mention that in the original video. In my first video, I mostly talked about the story and characters. I didn't really talk about what the actual gameplay in 4 would be like. Who does that? Who talks about a game and barely mentions the gameplay? Anyway, I didn't bring up the gameplay originally because I thought it would be largely the same as it was in the classic trilogy. Navigating open worlds, collecting things, finding secrets, playing half-baked minigames, and figuring out if I should flame or charge into enemies. Considering Crash 4 plays largely the same as in his original trilogy, I think it should be a given for Spyro. I'm not sure about what they could do to add new gimmicks to spice up the gameplay. I do have one idea, but that'll have to wait until later in the video. For how the game would even look, I really hope it looks the same as the Reignited trilogy. However, Crash 4 took a completely different art direction from the Insane trilogy, so they're probably going to change the character designs even more than they did in the Reignited trilogy. I just hope they don't mess up Spyro. Spyro has already been through more than enough ugly redesigns. Reignited pretty much perfected how Spyro should look, so it'll really be a shame if they change that. I still think Malefor could work as the main villain. Toys for Bob doesn't seem to be too afraid of using characters from the Legends games in the Skylanders series. And there is one cameo of Cinder in the Reignited trilogy. I personally wouldn't mind these characters appearing in the classic/Reignited series, as long as they're done right. Specifically Cinder. Speaking of, I think I also discovered a way Cinder could work in Spyro 4, without resorting her to an obvious love interest for Spyro. Besides, that spot's already been taken by Alora. And just to clarify, that was a joke. I don't actually ship Spyro with Alora myself, because real talk, Spyro is too cool for love. Anyways, back to my idea. This is the part of the video where I basically tell the story of the potential game. It's largely the same as in the first video, but with more added details you'll soon see. Long ago, Malefor was one of the strongest and most talented magic crafter dragons in the realm. He was the one who originally created all the portals in the world, using a new kind of magic created by the power of dragons. However, Malefor grew mad with power, seeing the world not good enough for his portals. So he went on a rampage, trying to destroy the world with elemental magic with the idea of creating a new, better world. He created portal after portal unbound by the arches you see on the more controlled portals, causing chaos and destruction for all the realms. The Elder Dragons went to war against Malefor, and with the dragons' combined efforts, broke the dark gem he wears around his neck, stripped his staff of the elemental crystals, and sealed Malefor into crystal himself. Just like how nasty Nork sealed the dragons in Spyro 1, it was the same spell. They then banished the crystallized Malefor to the Well of Souls, a dark and dangerous place no one is allowed. Thousands of years later, a young dragon named Cinder reads up about Malefor and then goes to the Well of Souls and frees Malefor in hopes of learning great and powerful magic from him. Upon being freed, Malefor takes Cinder under his wing as his apprentice as he escapes the Well of Souls and reassumes his malice. Meanwhile, in the Dragon Realms, or the Forgotten Realms depending on what happens after Year of the Dragon, the Elder Dragons take note of the chaos going on and the amount of portals opening up in the sky. Their fears of Malfoy being freed had come to fruition as they then task Spyro to go out and figure out what all the trouble is about. In terms of progressing through the story, in my first video I debated on either having Spyro traverse through new realms, or through abridged versions of the realms from the past 3 games. But after seeing Crash 4, if that's anything to go off of, I'm more inclined to believe the former is more likely than anything. Though I'm not sure what to do about the big story collectible. You know, like dragon statues, orbs, and dragon eggs. Perhaps Spyro could collect portal arch pieces to make the open portals more stable to access new worlds? I'll admit, I'm not the best when it comes to coming up with video game collectible concepts. As for the new gameplay concept I had in mind, I was thinking about having 2 different story campaigns. It would be kinda like Sonic Adventure 2's Hero and Dark story campaigns, where in one you play as Spyro and save the world. But in the other, you play as Cinder while you perform tasks for Malfoy where you wreck things for each of the worlds. I imagine Cinder's story would take place before Spyro's so that she could create the problems in each world that Spyro has to fix. I think that would create a cool dynamic for the gameplay. You could either make Cinder play similarly to Spyro but with different variations of levels, or make Cinder's moveset completely different. Knowing Activision's creative teams, it'd probably be the latter. I could also see multiple playable characters returning from Year of the Dragon. However, this time I think they should make some of the more familiar characters playable rather than creating new characters. What do I mean by that? Well, here's a couple ideas I have. For one, make Hunter fully playable in his own levels instead of gimmicky minigame segments. He could run faster, jump further, shoot arrows, and use that mechanical wing backpack thing. Despite how prominent Hunter is in the classic series, his only major playable role was in A Hero's Tale, which is apparently considered bad by most fans. Give our boy Hunter some justice. Another playable character I thought of could be none other than Nasty Nork. I even have an idea of how it could be used in the story. After being freed, Malfoy steals the crystal atop Nasty's club that sealed the dragons in Spyro 1. Nasty, having the only thing making him an actual threat being taken away from him, gets enraged with Malfoy and goes off on his own to get his crystal back. He then meets up with Spyro. Seeing how they have similar goals, they form a reluctant partnership to stop Malfoy. I imagine Nasty Nork would essentially be like a Bentley 2.0. He'd be really huge, slow, and heavy. But you could smash your way through obstacles with his club. I bet they could think up something to do with him that I can't. That's about all the new ideas I have at the moment. An official reveal for an actual Spyro 4 game is more than likely imminent. I'd be legit shocked if any of the ideas I came up with made it into the final product, albeit highly unlikely. Guess we'll have to see once this video becomes horribly outdated. Until then, enjoy these potential ideas of mine, as I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like to be notified about when I upload a new video, click that subscribe button and also click the little bell icon next to it. I'd love to show my video projects to as many people as I can.